So we're gathered here in the sacred ground of sovereignty that has been held and created within my community since 2012. A place where the qualities that we hold for one another are these: integrity, truth, trust, heart-centered sharing, non-judgment, compassion, loving kindness, connection, generosity, mutual respect, deep listening, support, caring about each other, sisterhood, acceptance, and wisdom. So we're holding each other in that place, and glad to be able to be here to see each other in our, as close as we can be when we're so far apart on the planet, face to face. So I'm glad to be here with you. We always surround ourselves, each other, our space, our homes, and those we love with a six-fold field of healing, connection to the divine, protection and guardianship, removal of that which is not of our light, absorptions and removal of any toxins or chemical energies floating around or near us, to keep ourselves in that sovereignty. And we activate that field on behalf of all of us today. As we do this work, we will be working on this within the sixth world, a world beyond Earth, Earth being the eighth. Grateful for that platform in that galactic world situation that again adds another level of safety and guidance and clarity to all of us. So we're meeting here as souls in female bodysuits to explore galactic history, Earth mission, what that means to who and where we are today, and what is going on in the world today. So welcome to this circle. We are grateful for Gaia for holding us, and we ask that all healing, all information that she's given about healing, bringing her loved ones back into balance and help be listened to and acted on. And our circle is gathered, set, opened, and here we are. Just get a sense of being held, not just here with us in this circle, but in a vibrational field way beyond our physical planet, where those who are of our divine family can be with us, guide us, nurture us in ways not possible in so many lifetimes. That your connections are more clear, more stable, more sovereignty held than ever before. And we affirm that for each of us. So with that, when you're ready, we're going to place ourselves in the circle. And we'll do that with your name, where you are on the planet. Because when we meet, the unique field in which we women meet is a very powerful field for healing. We often, in the Sacred Ground Collective, put names or numbers of those whom we would like to be placed into the hands of divine good. And in that field, what seems impossible can be healed, addressed, and cleared. And so you're welcome to put numbers or situations or names as you check into the circle. So Sharon, Raji, Maynard here. Welcome and good to see your faces. And I'm here on Woodby Island still. Great day. And I'm placing 18 into the circle for that healing and blessing while we do our work. And glad to be here with you. And I will pass to Arlie. And of course, you'll have to unmute.
I'm Arlie. I'm in New Zealand. I would like to bring 5 people into the circle for extra attention, healing, consideration. And I will pass to Deb.
Hi, I'm Devin. I'm in Wisconsin. I would like to put 5 people in and one dog.
Hi, I am one Divine, and I'm coming to you remote from Duncan's Mills, California, in the middle of the redwoods here. I am nested, and I would like to bring 8 people with me into the circle for holding and healing and protection. Can't hear you.
Thank you, one. So we've placed all of our intentions, those we have placed into the circle, turn it over to those who know exactly what is needed, their higher selves, their guidance team. And we gather ready to focus on women waking and moving mountains. So welcome everyone. Here is day 2. And I think it's always interesting to find out what you each, what attracted you to be here today. And so we're just going to popcorn it, which means whoever wants to speak first, pop on in, just watch. You can tell when somebody's ready to unmute. And as soon as there's an opening and you can say why you're here, that would be great. So let's just take a moment to share with what caused you to show up today.
Wanted to know more about the star family,
Okay.
the star seeds and all of those connections.
Good.
I seem to have a disconnect between my knowledge and applying it when I go journeying, and I need review in order to, so that it becomes meshed in my mind, my cosmology, and the way I think about things.
Thank you. Popcorn. I just did a TikTok with popcorn. I hope you saw that. Because it was another one of we're getting popcorn is I get those messages and it's a like inside joke with my team. And it's always spot on when I start getting popcorn all the time, like, oh, it's about to start popping. And I knew from when you set up the series of these 3. This is day 2. I thought this was day 1. Oh, it's day 2. There was one yesterday.
That's okay. We'll catch up.
Oh, darn. Okay. I was thinking it was the next 3 days, but anyway, I, we just discern what we're supposed to go to and what we're not supposed to go to. And it was one of those like, yep, supposed to go to that. And I was knowing which I would tune into one of them, and I happened to be traveling and logistically didn't work with the others. And this one was not only the one that worked, it was the one I was guided to do this session. And it seems pretty profound with what is coming in and what is happening right now in this gateway. And I'm seeing the feminine like on fire, really like just in social media, feeling it, seeing it, the messages I'm getting in of like enough is enough stuff, and just bringing their fullness of their fire and saying no more with their kids and no more with, so many things, whether it's a relationship or family or environment or whatever. I'm just seeing us all going, okay, enough. And it's been coming, but it feels pretty potent, and I'm grateful to be here, and thank you for opening the container.
Yes. And full disclosure, I think at one point I did have it scheduled for today, tomorrow, and Sunday. And then something came up. I don't know what came up, and all of a sudden it was like I shifted it. And I thought I changed it on calendars, which I may have and I may not have got all the calendars. You know what I mean? So you're not
Yeah.
wrong. You perceived that correctly. And because in this particular series, I didn't say register so I can remind you, because I did that on purpose too. I think grown-up people, I don't
Yeah.
doing some reminding, but I don't want to get into that reminding mode that is so typical in what we call our marketing. So anyway, we're going to cover what we're going to cover, it's going to be covered. And if we cover it today and tomorrow, or if we cover it tonight, we cover the material. Because I set it up, the focus, I'm going to tell you why I'm here. I started about last February, felt like we needed to have wise women, grandmothers, aunties, mothers, those who had experiential wisdom, to come together and just speak their vision, And it wasn't to be networking. I didn't know what it was going to be. So in February, I just hosted 3 different events that come as you want to. And we'd had anywhere from 12 to 28 women on each of those calls. Yes. And the intention was to give every woman up to 3 minutes to say their vision or their wisdom or what they would want to have for their children, something about their experience, what it is they would want to plunk into this field. It could even be the project, something they're drawn to. But it wasn't, and it was just to just speak it, letting the field of energy hold it. Well, it wasn't too long after that I listened to Fantastic Fungi, if you haven't seen that documentary, and talking about the network of the mycelium, the fungi mycelium, and how critically important it is, powerful it is. We talk about the rooting of the trees and plants, similar to that, of course, and networked, but the mycelium just hit my heart and said, that's what we're doing. We are literally creating the mycelium of wisdom from women's experiences that has never been planted on the planet because of the outsiders so early on targeting to destroy the female and the female power and authority. And so planting that mycelium, we've done that now, February, and every 6 months, it's on the calendar too. And it was an incredibly powerful experience, and even more powerful when I think during one of the second sessions, one of the women, after everyone had spoken their 3 minutes and we're ready to close the circle, she said, oh, by the way, and she named one of the women who, and a lot of these women have not seen each other before. I hadn't met all of them for sure. She said, I want to connect with you. And I felt the energy go thump, thump. It was like going back to kindergarten, first grade, where you didn't get chosen for the team. It just wiped the energy down. And so I very quickly, because I had talked to her before, I very quickly said, and set the reason for being in the circle was not to do that. So I just brought it back to what we're here to do, is just put our wisdom into the circle and I trust that field will connect us in the way it's most important for us to connect, and everything, and then just whooped right back up again. So kind of a confirmation to me that it was an important thing we were doing, is creating a mycelium, and we're doing that, very consistently. So then I was invited to go to, over Memorial Day weekend, you all know this, a gathering of Indigenous elders from around the world. And immediately I heard of it and I said, I'm going. Who knew why? Because I had decided I didn't want to travel much. And so I signed up, and in preparation for going, I went back over some of the Indigenous prophecies that I had known about, experience with an Indigenous elder I'd had about dreaming. He said, when are you going to dream awake the bones of your ancestors? And I'm going like, what? I mean, I don't think I was even doing energy work at the time. So my ancestors were Mormons. What is he talking about? And he looked me in the face and he said, the women. What are you going to dream awake the bones of the women? And I realized that that's what it was that I was bringing, the women's authority, responsibility, how it fit into Earth mission, et cetera, et cetera. And then the other part of in doing that, they said, we were hoping, and I opened a grandmother circle for those elders. They didn't have to be mothers. They could be just the indigenous elders, for them to plunk their wisdom into our mycelium. And there was a fellow that showed up and he said, we were hopeful that this is the time that the eagle and the condor will join together. Now, I don't think I'd ever heard of that prophecy. It's a prophecy that there was a time when the travel between tribes up and down North and South America and around the world, really, but we'll say up and down North and South America, going north and south, back and forth. And they know that was happening because of what has been found in the various places where the indigenous lived. Things that are from down south or way up by Alaska, you know, I mean, they were trades and they've traded with one another, and there was commerce going on. And then the prophecy said that there would come a time that would be a drought of love, we'll say. And if the roads, if the commerce roads continue to run north and south, peace would continue. But if they started to run east and west, it would break up that flow, and then that would indicate that they needed to prepare for a very difficult time, because their families would have hardships, and they had their own words. And of course, it started to go east and west, and therefore the eagle from the north and the condor from the south could no longer fly together. So they were looking for a time when the eagle and the condor could fly together. And of course, you all know they also have the prophecy of the rainbow tribe, the coming together of the rainbow tribe. Okay. So I'm reading those prophecies and their hope for the coming together, and their hope for the eagle and the condor to fly together. Me, coming from galactic history, Earth mission, knows that the thing that has prevented it from happening and even caused this huge disruption is the agendas of those who have domination as their focus, or I call them outsiders. And that as long as the outsiders are present, any hope of bringing together greater light, greater good, a greater commerce for the whole, greater benefit is going to be absolutely targeted and crushed. So it's women's work. So when I went back to that gathering, I had, I don't usually do this, but I had a whole, this is what they wanted me to tell them. This is what they wanted. This is the message I had to bring. And I had all written out. And I thought, if I have to read it, I'm going to read it, because I don't know if I can remember all the things, And, but it really, again, brought to my mind, just, I think you said it, one, this is a time of women of saying, not enough is enough, stop already, but without understanding the galactic work, history, and where we came from and what we're here to do, we can't bring them together or we'll be crushed again. Okay. So therefore, my purpose in this three-day initiation or invitation is to wake up more and more women to what it is that has been missing from our remembrance, intentionally so. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go over very quickly. And again, this is kind of like the beginning, of course. And I'm having to pull up what I need here. Because if we don't know the problem, we can't solve it. Or if we think the problem is something that it's not, and we're focusing on this problem, the solution won't match and we won't get rid of it. So my whole journey began in '89 when I saw that all the good things that were going on within the personal growth, metaphysical community, all the excitement that was there in '89, and I was a newbie on the block then, my clients still, weren't getting free. They had their dreams, they had their visions, and it wasn't working. They kept hitting walls. I had been working telepathically with a group of what I call my board members, my team, raising my children as a single mom for about 16 years at that point. So that's where I had really practiced listening to them, vetting them, etc. So when I saw that I had clients who were trying to make a difference, and I was learning more about energy and energy healing, and we were still hitting too many walls, I said to my team, I want to learn, where do I have to go to the cause of humanity's stuckness in this cycle, ongoing cycle? Survival, hit walls, dream, survival, hit walls, dream. It's like an abuse cycle. And I want to learn where I can go to change that. And they said, the information isn't on the planet, therefore we can't send you anywhere. It's not being done that way because the information has been hidden. If you want to do that, we will have to give you the information so you can bring it back. And that began my journey. So I'm going to share my screen. And again, we're not going to go into depth, but there's so much, that we can build beyond here, beyond this. But here's some basics. So we all hear often, all there is love. All there is love. And that's the answer to everything. All there is love. In this home source where we began, I don't think there was a beginning. I don't know how we were there, but we were there in what we call home or source, isness of all good. We have lots of names for it. It's not heaven, by the way. This is not heaven. This is home source, all energy, all possibilities of magnificence, of good, love being one aspect of that, in that world, in that reality. The Hermetic traditions call it world one. I call it home. It is in Laniakea. If you know Laniakea, it exists within that greater galactic, and maybe all of Laniakea is it. I don't know. All there is good in that home. And that's who you are. That is your star home. And vibrations move through, and music and dance and movement and colors and numbers, and there's no form. And you are a dot of brilliance, a dot of light, totally intelligent, but it is not a place of independent actions. It's a home of collective, like bees, beehive, all working, all together. What one feels, all feels. What moves through one moves through all. And so ideas, of course, go through too, possibilities and sniffs of color or smells, who knows? And ideas float through, and it draws attention just because it is. Look at, I loved that green that just floated through, and I want more of that. Can I have that for a little bit longer? And pretty soon we're around all those water coolers, this one talking about the green, and this one talking about the yellow, and this one talking about the pink, and if you use colors, all these conversations going on around various aspects within this home. Well, the rest, I mean, all floats, everything else floats through, but we've been attracted to a certain region of those frequencies. And you were too. And when there was a choice made or enough, however that happened, that group around the water cooler extended from home into their first world as an extension from home. Hermetics call this the second world. So it's a very, very same, but I call this home. So this is your first world. You are a star being, a dot of light, intelligence, magnificent, all possibility within a group. And there are 7 different families on the planet, but we'll only speak as one. So here is a family, and they have a specific agenda, and they all coalesced around what it would be like just to have a little longer taste of red. And then when they were through with red, they wanted to shift to orange. And then they were curious. And so they wanted a little of this and then a little of that. And my daughter did that last night when she took me out for Chinese, you know? So this first family was a very large group, living in group mind, in consensus, feeling more directly a range of home, not disconnected from home, fed by home, but on a specific mission or agenda to experience a range of frequencies. And they did that in the first world. And we're just going to follow family 1 of curiosity. And then they decided, well, you know what? It's really great, but there's still like a lot of frequencies moving through us all the time. What if we divide it into 4 separate family groups? And this family group would be the yellow greens, and this will be the blue purples, and this will be the, and they each took a portion of the all possibilities and extended with that idea into their second world. And in this world, there's 4 groups, same family. They're all feeling it directly or vicariously now. Here in first world, they're all feeling it directly. Everything moves through everybody. But now blue goes through this, and I'm feeling it directly because I'm in that group. But I can also feel the wafting of the green, the wafting of the yellow, and the wafting of the red. You see? And it was great. All connected to home. And then they decided, okay, let's get a little bit more directly connected to a smaller range. And then they divided into 12 family groups. So that each group had a smaller range to be a part of. And that vicariously they'd feel everything. So direct, vicarious, the same thing, just a little bit more directly. So they didn't have, no one of those 12 groups had the full range of first world. They had only a portion, but it was all balanced. It was all healthy. It was still all aspects of good. So all love. What happens next is what is important to know about Earth. And that is this. There were other groups that gathered around their water cooler, and they wanted to be, what would happen if we twisted the code so that we didn't live off of our own creations, but we lived off of the energy creations of the others? We'll have a free ride. And they created dominating agendas or parasitic agendas. It was a twisting of the code, because numbers cause things to change up there, twisting of the code so that they then did not have to do any of the work, but they could live off the light, the energy, the productivity of others, parasitic by nature. And they are all around here too. Well, these particular families, and family 1 that we're following, they were naive. They were naive. They were aware and yet not aware. They'd not done this before. And so right about in this phase, this family of curiosity had really attracted a lot of parasitic groups that went like, whoa, there's a newbie on the block. There's another plant on the block. Boy, look at that stream of energy. We want a taste of that one. So how are they going to enter in? Now, their boundaries were strong enough to kind of keep them stable and secure. But what happened is the outsiders, and I'll call them outsiders probably from this point forward, began to broadcast beautiful songs and messages into this family that said, congratulations, you're new on the block here. Welcome to this part of the galaxy. Welcome. You're doing a great job. But you know what? We know a little bit more than you because we've been here longer. So we want to challenge you. And look at that. You're still holding on to mama, papa. Don't you know that you can kind of be on your own, walk on your own a little bit, kind of mature yourself a little bit? And the idea was to plant the idea that they could be fully 100% connected to home, or they could create their own little software program. And every once in a while, the flow would go down to like 10%. 100% to home, 10. They couldn't disconnect, they die, but they're brilliant. So they create, they talk about it and they say that we think that's a good idea. Why not? We're curious. We want to see what it would be like. And these 12 families said, if we create a program that's within our energy, that every once in a while we have only 10% of flow, 10% of breath, we don't know what that's going to be like. And then it will flip us over to 100%, and it's just automatic. It's not by our choice. It's an automatic program. When we're finished, because it's only for a time, when we're finished with that ride, we're going to need a way to stabilize ourselves and not be quickly thrown into, back to 10%. When we've had enough, stabilize ourselves so that we can then remove that particular program. Good idea. How are we going to do that? Well, let's see who wants to volunteer out of our group and doesn't really care about having the chip, but they will maintain 100% flow. They can observe us. They can vicariously feel it, not directly, but vicariously. And when we're ready, they'll be 100% connected to hold our space while we remove the chip. Easy peasy. So they created the programs, blue, green, yellow, red, right on down. And when they were ready, all 12 of the family members clicked on the software program and they started their extreme ride. Like, whoa, and doo-doo, and doo-doo, and clear yellow, then muddy yellow, then clear yellow. And they were on the ride. And when you have that kind of thing going on in your frequency, pretty soon your own natural frequency starts to diminish just a little bit, never coming quite back up to 100%. So 13th group could see that they were diminishing in energy speed. They were devolving. They were sliding down the mountain. And so the outsiders noticed this and knew this would happen. And they started to broadcast to the 13th. Do you see the worry? Do you see that? That's kind of, oh, wow, they're started to broadcast in doubt, so that when the first of the 12 said, okay, we've had enough, we're ready. When the 13th group reached out to surround them, the outsiders had already activated that part of their broadcasting that says, you are not enough. Don't go there. If you go there, you're gonna crash. You are not enough. You're not strong enough. You're not big enough. You don't know enough. That's a broadcasting directly from the outsiders, like a tower in our space. And the 13th group were not able to bring those 12 back. So although the 12 were still there, now they have 13, we have 13 groups. It's like the 12 have been to war in one way. The 13th group has been to war in another way. The 13th decides, because they're going to go back now with their original families, but they're not going to tell the families. They're not going to tell the families that nobody's coming. To maintain hope, they're not going to say nobody's coming. We weren't able to do it. Just like soldiers coming back, you don't know what they've gone through, but they carry it with them. The 13th carried with them a very deep, deep guilt, a sense it's my fault. Everything that goes on that's bad from that point on is my fault. I am not a good person. I am certainly not enough. And the other 12 families keep waiting for somebody to fix them. And pretty soon they just now it becomes normal. And that swing between fully present with home and 10% present with home has nothing to do with a choice in the consciousness. It was a program, like a computer chip. And from that point on, the boundaries were invaded. The outsiders came in because Swiss cheese were not enough. Oh my gosh, let us come in. We'll help you. We invited those outsiders in. They began to intentionally own us, capture us, enslave us, put us to work, even through violent means. We tried many, many ways all throughout this slide down in energy just to save ourselves, to return, but we were owned. We were now owned. We were anchored to the plantation, and we could not say to the master, we're walking off, we're going back home, because no, they owned us. So we continued to devolve, and just like any other host of a parasitic, we began to die. Energy diminished, diminished, and diminished. Until we get to the 7th world, where it's like live or die. Might be very similar to where we are in many places in on our planet today. What are we going to do? And so we came up with a plan. And the first part of the plan was, how are we going to identify and hold these outsiders, because they are so deceptive, they are so sneaky, they slither around. You know, even if we grabbed hold of them, we can't hold them because they own us. What are we going to do? So we decided that we needed a way for energy to be slowed down by law until it became slower and slower and more formed, or in our what we would call physical, so that we could see what was diminishing us, where that vibration of parasitic was. So a physical planet. And we then connected with Gaia, Earth, we call Earth. It has been around a lot longer than we. Made agreement with her, if she would be the platform upon which we could play out to return ourselves to our divine, would that be what we would take care of her? We made that agreement, and Gaia said yes. So we had a place to be. We needed a way for our star family body, our star body, which is light vibration, to move around on this physical plane, therefore a vehicle like a moon suit, so an earth suit. So we designed a blueprint for a physical vehicle for our star soul to move around in. Well, that's good. So we got a place to be, we got a way to identify outsider energy, and we can move around, and Gaia's up with this, fine. But wait a minute, we're still owned. So even if we see the energies, nobody can say, get out of here. Nobody can say enough, go. They owned us. So here's the brilliant. I think this was really brilliant. If we could have one body, why not two? Two vehicles. One vehicle to carry the software program for one of the souls. So that soul was owned, the vehicle was owned. But what if we ejected the ownership chip from a soul, another soul, put that ownership chip, that program into the first vehicle, so the vehicle had two ownership chips, so that when the outsiders monitoring through their technology monitoring would see that it would look like there's two, but there's really one, but it's two, because we couldn't just walk away. We were owned, but we could slide that chip over into the bodysuit. So the first bodysuit was owned by the parasitic, doubly so. And the soul was owned by the parasitic. The second soul, giving up the chip, was not owned at a soul level, stepping into a bodysuit that was not only not owned, it was not even seen by the parasitic. So they didn't even know that there was another bodysuit on the planet, you see? So therefore we have male, who is the bodysuit was owned, as was the soul. That ownership had to move forward. We did not have a way. We tried different ways, but I had not been able to eliminate it. Soul that comes into the female body, not owned, into a bodysuit, not owned. So this is, we made it so that we know we were not going to be in group mind here. We are not 100th monkey here. Individual choice and personal word would activate, because we needed something that when that soul in the female body, the unowned soul, saw energy that was parasitic, she could immediately say, I know what that is, and bring in all of the divine family teams to have it removed. So personal choice on this planet is critical. So this is how we set it up for the first steps, and it was in the original chakras, and that's the evolutionary steps. The soul of the male coming in, and of course the male, it's not male at a gender, not gender at a soul level, but the soul coming into a male bodysuit comes in through the crown chakra, brings energy in from the crown, coming through the sun, connection, recalibrating, coming it in, bringing it into the bodysuit, and moving it out from the heart into the village. Frequency is still pretty high, so the outsiders have no idea that he is absolutely flooding the village with energy to be worked with. Heart directed, heart centered, like he's doing nothing on the planet. There is not male-female partnership at this point, because otherwise the parasitics would know that there was another body there. So the males did their thing, and their thing to keep the village safe was to keep themselves connected to the divine, move the energy out through the heart, feel the energy. If something needed to be moved, boulders and stuff, they could do that, but not in the presence of the female. Not about babies. Not at all about babies. We were smart enough to know we were going to bring more into this mess. So that the heart was always intended to be the guidance system for the soul in a male body. So soul coming into the female body, the energy coming through the crown chakra, right on down the middle line of the body to the feet, to say to Gaia, first chakra, I'm here. I'm here to help safeguard you. Thank you for letting me play in your home. I'm here. Right down into the very densest place where the outsiders don't see her. Then rooted into Gaia where the roots of all the other soul sisters, that's where they gathered. And they sit in circle and then talk and talk and talk, and they share and share and share, and they say, what's going on? What are we going to do? And it was their job to decide how to create the culture environment for this village to be safe and thriving for the mission. And so after being here, rooted in Gaia, rooted with others, coming up to the base chakra, looking around and say, listen, I think this village, let's go take our village here. How about this kind of food? Well, what about this? And the design at the base chakra, what do we need? This is a new place, a new vehicle. What's needed? How do we keep communication going? The design was made at the base chakra. And because of the law of manifestation, once they had the blueprint, the design, they held that. They might have danced dances. They might have sung songs. They didn't do affirmations, but maybe they did something like that. That's the creative chakra. They created, and from that design emerged the lush garden. Everything was now in place for everyone to thrive. And at that point is when it was ready to activate the solar plexus, the power center of authority and discernment. They knew what energy of good, home, tasted, felt like on the planet. They knew that. They'd had lots of time to experience the good of their design, the policies that they set, the colors they used. They had had time to experience and taste good. So then in the story comes in the serpent, or Sophia, the wisdom, the teacher of wisdom. And she was the one that came to activate that center of discernment at the solar plexus, which is the next chakra. Come on, let's go. I've got something to show you. We're going to go into the garden, and I'm going to take you to this tree, which will give you the taste of good and evil. That which is going to expand you and that which is going to destroy you. You've got to be able to taste that. Why? Because it was the female's job, because she had the authority. She was not owned. So that got activated in one of the villages, and then in another village, and then in another village. And if we pay attention to the myth of the garden, it's very, very similar to what happened like 300,000 years ago, really long ago, like the Cro-Magnon time. One woman in the village got real excited and shared with one of the men. Oh my gosh, you just can't, I'm really excited. Do you know how you get when you're tasting what it is? I know what I want to do next, and you get so excited and you want to tell somebody. And she happened to let that slip in the presence of the male, who then his monitoring system picked up this wave, and the outsiders immediately knew something was wrong, because they don't know what this wave is. And immediately they came and they saw that there was this being on the planet they didn't even know was there, who scanning had it was not owned, they could not manipulate. So they immediately took over their right to do so, the male bodysuits, and it began the phase of invasion and occupation and crippling of the chakras with the Cro-Magnon body. All of that happened all through the galactic worlds. That's what our star families had been carrying, those wounds, those injuries, those traumas. So all the work we would do to work with the trauma of our childhood, or rebirth and repair those injuries, was never going to free us. Because the wounds, the concepts, the ownerships were held in the galactic worlds, where you are a member of a group of, say, 7 million. On this planet, you are one. connected to 7 million in some worlds, 5 millions in other worlds. You know, we talk about the Pleiadians and Arcturians, and those are all places we've been. And some of them, you know, you might have been more recently at one than the other. You've been there, we've been there, and we've had experiences there. And that's what was keeping us from being free of the cycling in pain that I saw in 89. So what I began doing in 2000, by 2000, working with a small group, we would have whatever client that would come to us by conscious travel and intention. We would go back to whatever collective group held one of their woundings. So we went way beyond childhood. We went back to the galactic worlds, and we had to literally wake up the group, 5 million maybe, or 10 million over here. We had to wake up the group and say, hey, Joan is down here on the planet Earth, and she's found a way to free you of those injuries. Wake up, wake up. And we'd get them awake, and we'd teach them the new, and we'd give them the new work, so that 7 million were freed. 3 million were freed through the work of one on the planet, because we understood the galactic injuries. At this point, those galactic worlds, I mean, when I went in there, you talk about the Big Bang. The Big Bang had happened many different times in those worlds, 2 or 3 different times, where instead of 12, all of a sudden we'd have hundreds, just, and all of them scattered. And then another one, all of them scattered. It was so just, it was not at all what we were being, but, you know, all there is love. And, you know, I had to work with the galactic historians to work with many of the ascended masters, because they were also working under the survival tradition that they had available. And we had to educate them of the problem, and then of the freeing of the problem, and of the new way we had now of living life on the planet. In the galactic worlds, the last time I checked, which was not too long ago, there's about 98% cleared, unified, so that when you talk about your star family now, when you find what is my star family member, you can have almost a direct relationship with them, where before there was a lot of cluttering in the way. Clearer and clearer connection to your star families, so that they then have greater and greater impact in strengthening and guiding you. The big mess we're facing right now is Earth. That's where the major energy still resides. And it looks like it's overwhelming, but it's more like we're in the swamp now, and now we're digging up the bones in the swamp, and it looks really muddy. So although it looks worse than it was 10 years ago, energetically it's better than it was 10 years ago. Not only that, we are now able to connect to the female mission to identify through discernment, and to have the authority of the Sophia Collective. That when you see or sense anything that's just off, you don't even have to figure out why, because those energies from outsiders are everywhere present. And they can be floating through like a cloud, and you go like, is it that person? You don't have to identify it. You just say to the PTO team that there's something in this field right over here to my right that feels off. Pain in my shoulder, that feels off. Deep six it. And because you are a female connected to your Sophia authority voice, it will be done. That's what we've been waiting for, is the waking up the bones of women to move mountains. So I'm going to stop and if see what anything you might want to say, and then we're going to take a 5-minute break and come back to go beyond this. So open up the fields. Anything you want to say? Questions, feedback, commonalities.
Okay, so when the female was discovered, the male had the 2 chips, female had no chips. Female gets discovered. Was she chipped at that point?
Well, I ask about that, and it's they've really used the Garden of Eden as a way we can understand it. They said, what happened? You remember the story of Lilith? Lilith was supposedly the first wife of Adam. She's covered with snakes. You know Lilith? Because Lilith would not let go of her wisdom. She would not let go of the snakes. She would not let go of the snakes. And so what happened is she then was shunted and discarded and by the outsiders through male bodies to be put over here as a harlot or whatever. And Eve, I said, what happened? And Eve said, Eve, the broadcasting, remember the broadcasting, you're not enough, still going on, was still going on from those galactic worlds. And so Eve, and again, a representation. So the Eve as a representation said, you know what, I don't think I know enough. I think I'm tasting what I'm tasting. I think I'm feeling what I'm feeling, but I'm kind of new on the block. I'm just going to go along a little bit along and just until I learn more. And because she did that, and no one stood up to say, okay, I know we're going to get rid of you immediately. The outsiders, they first crippled the wiring of our original bodysuit.
Mhm.
And they unplugged the heart center of male and plugged those wires down to the gonads. The gonads were where the ownership marks were held. So they took, his guidance was no longer heart. His guidance was now not only sexual, but also parasitic controlled, double controlled. They unplugged the wiring of the woman from the solar plexus, took away that power center and plugged her into her heart so that she serves with no discernment and no way to say no. So they first crippled the wiring, the power centers, the chakra systems, and then, and 200,000 years ago, they replaced the blueprint with the Homo sapien body. So it totally owned the blueprint of the bodysuit from that point forward. And they could do that. So as soon as there was no one and no group powerful and strong enough yet to, they woke up too soon. The outsiders, they were alerted too soon. So now in mass, they're doing invaders. They're using the male body to target female body in order to make the bodysuit itself vulnerable to have devices attached. And then they crippled, and it's been downward slide ever since until, quite recently. Thanks, Arlie.
Okay. I'm going to just make this brief, but I would like to talk after you're all done, because as you're speaking, you know how it goes. I'm being shown a lot, and I'm already understanding and being shown why I did some certain things here on the ground, at the ocean and in the redwoods here, and why I'm here and why I'm here on this call at this time. And one of the things coming in, and it's related to the Sophia, and all of it is the Magdalene.
Yeah,
The
totally.
Magdalene's feast is tomorrow.
Mm.
And I'm being shown some stuff, but I would love to hear. And I have a question. I have a question about the others, the outsiders, first of all. And I have for a while, like, I want to better understand, okay, if it's all from the creator? Are there other creator systems? Or is it the one creator and there were rebel teams that defected? Or what is the outsider? What is the other? But then
Mhm.
circle it back after why I'm being shown that is why it's the last day and you moved it. So that last final day, they're showing me the cumulative energetic effect of what you have done and what you have built, not only in these 3 sessions, but your body of work.
Mhm.
As a field, you know, it snowballs, right? It's cumulative and it gains strength. And they're showing, I'm being shown that, okay, it's no accident. I have been listening on Audible and guided to read a book. It's called Finding the Mother Tree. And it is by the woman who made the discoveries about the mycelium in the forest, who is an indigenous woman from Canada. And I'm sure that she was featured and informed in that documentary because her findings, what she figured out, and why all these trees were dying when they were clear cutting and all this stuff, has now been implemented in forestry throughout the world and all of that, right? But they're showing me it as a metaphor, like you got it too, the mycelium, and you have ignited and connected this mycelium of the women and the wisdom keepers in the field. And then I'm rooting, for the second time now, I just did it today for hours with this one this afternoon. As I was guided, I went to Armstrong Woods, which are the tallest trees on the planet. And I was speaking to this little girl that I found. I'm bringing this up because it's related to what we're doing and what I'm being guided to and why I'm rooted where I'm rooted, and how it relates to this is they're showing me is broadcasting. You used the right term, broadcasting and receiving, and using this field and anchoring it in the like true redwoods. Last Sunday we did a tree temple.
Mhm.
That's cumulative too, and what's happened is so profound. So I'm just seeing how this is all fitting together, the women and what they're doing, and then like literally anchoring it with literal trees, literal mycelium, and using that to broadcast and reconnect mother and cosmic mother and back, right?
Yep.
On Magdalene. And when I was coming out here, last thing, and I'll let it go. Cheryl, who I think you know, who's a really clear seer. And sometimes when I'm on these road trips or missions, I might notice an energy that I'm not recognizing or discerning who it is or what spirit or angel it is. And I'll ask her, hey, who's with me? And I regularly work with Michael, Metatron, and Melchizedek. And she said, you got your M team, your 3 M's with you, and mother. But she said, and then she's like, and the Magdalene is with you. And it had something to do with the misuse. I'm right by Bohemian Grove too. That's part of this misuse of spiritual power with earth magic. So somehow, I just wanted to speak all that. It might be a jumble. I hope it made sense, but it's somehow related and correlated. Sharon and I have done this before, like where I'll get like, call Sharon and she's working on something that I'm working on some other piece of, and then it makes sense, like, you know. And so you're just making a whole lot of sense for me for some of the things I'm being guided to do, where I am, why I am. And I feel like between the ocean, which is 4 miles down the road, and these trees, what we're doing for this Magdalene feast, what's coming through from the Magdalene is use this opportunity, let's broadcast and connect everything, you know, after this cumulative effect of this, the web you've weaved.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all. I feel complete. Thank you. Thank you, Sharon.
Love you, Deb. Any Deb, anything you want to say before we take a break? Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break. So 11 after the hour, we'll be back. So you can turn off your camera if you want to, and then 11 after, we'll be back. Whoa, that was fast. If you have water, keep drinking.
Yeah, I
Yep.
know. Oh, hold on. Where's my pen? Oh, hold on.
That I don't know.
Oh, then. Oh, okay.
Hey,
Whew. Yeah, I got another piece too. Wow.
keep writing. So, Deb, I'm assuming you're there. So here we are on the planet 2023. By the Mayan calendar, it was in 2000 that they thought the galactic information would be made available, 23 years ago. The Neanderthals are very close to, like, that's kind of the time frame when our mission, all volunteer, by the way, we are volunteers on this mission. Not every one of our star family incarnates. Only a small portion of our star family incarnates. Most of our star family is still in those other worlds, are much clearer, much healthier, much stronger, been restored to the resonance of our agenda. So we have a lot of support that we can now tune into. So here we are in 2023. Now let's look at 2023 from the viewpoint of Earth mission. The purpose of being on this planet was to identify, to let energy of the outsiders slow down to a point where we could see them or sense them or taste them, or, so we would know, oh, there they are. And they couldn't slip away because we had the authority to say, enough, remove. So the purpose of this planet, first and foremost, is to make outsider evil visible. First and foremost. So if you look around yourself in the world today, are you seeing evil made visible? I think we are, aren't we? We didn't know that it would get this bad. We didn't really know it would get this bad. We had thought it would have a better handle on it. And there have been, like, mission forces coming in to kind of help us, because it got a little bit worse than we thought it was going to get. But the purpose of Earth was to make, and I'll use the word evil, which is the outsiders, parasitic. What does it do? It takes away life. What's evil? Life backwards. Live backwards. To make evil visible, just to make it visible? No. To then have someone sensitive enough to say, oh, there it is. I see it. I name it. Second part. Third part, to be free of ownership, to be able to say to those beyond Earth who have the ability to contain, to neutralize, and to remove, who have sensitivities even beyond our ability to be sensitive, we just call them in and we say, check this out because something's wrong. And they have the ability to really go through, say, okay, here it is, here it is, here it is, and move. So that those 7 families who would come together to help each other out, so that those star families could then be restored to the harmonics of their chosen agenda. Our star families chose an agenda to experience aspects of good that has never changed. You have never, never, never lost your choice to experience aspects of good. It's core of why you even left home. Okay. So we are here kind of in an extreme situation of seeing evil manifested, deceit all around us, black's white, black, ups, down, downs, up, all out there, because that's what outsiders do. They lie. Some of our divine family members went off to the other side. I call them turncoats. There's a lot to understand about the whole thing, but and those used to allow the outsiders to become into spaces because they had dual citizenship, if you will. So they could say, yeah, outsiders, come on in, because they had made allegiance to the outsider agenda while they still were a divine family member. They've been cleared out. We're clearing them out too. They get to go with the outsiders. So there's a lot that's been going on. But what we're going to do right now is I'm just going to take you on a guided journey of initiation. It doesn't matter how many times you have this initiation into your Sophia collective power. On the site where this video will be held, there is also a place where you can get a Sophia audio. You can make up your own. Once you understand it, you can do a ceremony initiating other women. So that's what we're going to do next. So I want you to just find a place to be comfortable. If you need to lay down, fine. Whatever you need to do for your physical body to really just be held, to relax. There's nothing it needs to do. It's gotten you here. Thank you, bodysuit. I'm just going to reaffirm we are on the sacred ground of sovereignty and held within the field of the six-fold cocoon of safety, of guardianship, direct connection to the divine, being filled constantly with the insight and guidance of all that is good. Any additional protection that you want to put around yourself, totally add that. We're working on the platform prepared for this work in the sixth world. So whatever your teams have in mind to lift you, move you into that sacred place, there's a circle of women waiting for you there. Way beyond the four of us, there are others there waiting also. So gently journey to that place prepared. Noticing the path you take, or you may be moved by a winged one. There's the colors, the forms. And pay attention to your sense, your sensations, your feelings. Are there others who are asking that you bring them with you? Just breathe and trust you are held in sacred sovereignty. You may find when you get there and your maternal line, those women who were mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, known and unknown, we would gather them with us also. They paid a heavy price to survive. It's time for them also to be empowered. In your imagination, look around that circle. We're all sitting there. Sense the heart connection, the love, the joy, the smiles. And the four of us are there as the ambassadors from the future. We're saying to these women, we are here grateful for the shoulders that we stand on, grateful for what you did, even what you gave up, even what you suffered to allow this future to be. That the maternal line, the female line, did not get destroyed. And the contracts you made to do whatever it took for the female line to continue, those contracts are ended because they have been fulfilled. You have done that job. And we move you into fulfillment, to celebration, thanksgiving for what it is you gave up for us to be. Just notice the wind blowing away all the heaviness. Gaia holding us and us blessing her, and ask that the heaviness that she encountered because we were ripped away from our mission, what she has suffered, that it also be blown away back into light. We bring her and all of her creations into our healing. Just let the breath move around the circle. The breath of stability, breath of love, respect and honor. And look up and you'll see coming toward you, coming toward the circle, a great collective of female energy clothed in aquamarine cloaks or shawls. They are like floating on the air, coming toward us. We invite them into our space and we give gratitude to them and say, we are here to listen to you, to hear you. We acknowledge you as the Sophia Collective. Those who have held that Sophia assignment and authority from the beginning. We are so grateful. We are here with you. And you are here with us. And there is one Sophia sister for each of the women in this circle, no matter how extensive it is. Sophia's sister steps in front and looks into your eye. You look into her eyes. Nothing needs to be said. This is a different time. Holding your hands, she places her forehead, her third eye on your third eye. And there is a connection made, activating this energy from above. And she blesses and sings and touches your solar plexus. And with her blessings, her songs, her words, she activates that power center, which changes and brings the original power centers of chakras awake and active in your system. Feel that energy move through every part of your being so that when she embraces you, there's an electrical charge between you. You are not the same. It moves through you, awakens you, it repowers the original plan. Then you touch each other's heart, for now the heart is free to open as intended, not to serve without discernment, but to be powerful, because Sophia discerns and decrees all evil harm be gone instantly. Grace energy of heart is now available in ways never before. As you step back, you see that over her arm she has a cloak or a shawl, the aqua color, to place over you. You are now of the Sophia Collective. You look down, and below your feet is the triad of the sacred feminine, Gaia, alive and well, Sophia, brilliant as the sun, and Grace, angels of love. You stand on that triad. And your Sophia sister steps into the circle, and the circle is now expanded because we're all together. And the one calling herself Sophia steps into the center. She says, my sisters, it has been so long. And we are going in this moment, we are going to model with you that Sophia power. Draw to mind anything in your world, in your life, in your body that feels off or a reflection of evil. Just draw it into your mind. Name it in your mind. And by naming it, it is frozen in time. It is frozen. You have named it. It cannot move. All of a sudden, you see that you have a staff in your left hand, and your staff goes straight into Gaia. My space, my body, my family, my world, my energy field, it is mine, and I'm owning and safeguarding it. Staff into the ground. This evil has no right to be here. So sword in your left hand into the heavens. Sword does not cut. It goes so like a laser into the heavens, into those teams who are prepared. I call them PTO, but they're galactic. They're Laniakea. PTO. This energy I have named is to be identified, contained, and moved into extinction dust. And you stand, you simply stand, staff in the ground, Sophia sword into the heavens, speaking your truth. Turn that all over to those beings, removing those energies. You have decreed. Is there anything else they need from you? They will tell you. And as soon as they say, no, we've got it, you can bring your attention, your focus right back to that center circle. Do whatever exchange you feel to do with your Sophia sister. Knowing that she is there with you always, as are those teams of removal, as is your cloak, as is your staff and your sword. You are of the Sophia Collective. And when you're ready, just let your breath bring you back in journey to the circle here in our room. I'm just going to open it up for anything you might want to share from that, questions or insight. Just popcorn. Yeah, the star.
They've been coming in so much. It's like this has made sense of so many breadcrumbs they've been showing me all week. Like it finished sentences that were like half done. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I do know how that goes. Yes, thank you. The thing that has been missing in our world is not, we needed to know the history of the galactic worlds in order to get them corrected. We had to know that so that we could correct those energies that were way beyond Earth, that had no connection to God or heaven or even ascended masters. All of those came after it and were created within the cultures of survival, things we needed to survive. So now we can move beyond that and open up to more, so that you can respond in different ways to anything and everything. Without that Sophia authority work, Eagle Condor will never fly together. It's too dangerous. They would be shot down. Rainbow tribes will never come together. They will be crushed. Truth tellers will be crushed. But we're in a time where many people are talking about Armageddon going off the edge. And I'm saying, no, that only happens if the parasitics continue to take away our energy, because that's what happens with parasitics. But we aren't there. We now are going to stop that. And not only stop that, but also call in our star families, whether you call them coming by UFO or walk-ins, they are there ready with the greater intelligence to build new, So we are really at quite a time in our world.
I have one more thing.
Okay.
I wanted to speak it while we have this circle container. I've been posting a little bit on band, but not fully what I'm being guided to do and bring forth at this time. But one of the things that they were saying, this is when I got up and got something to drink and it was coming in, was about one of the primary and last and only things that is keeping a static field, keeping a disconnection for us, because it is now available for us to have that connection like it wasn't before. But one of the things that's dulling those senses or keeping it from the most ubiquitous across humanity is addiction. Addiction to whatever. And like right now, 18 to 35 years old, number one cause of death is fentanyl overdose. Not COVID, not car accidents, heart disease, diabetes, none of it. Fentanyl. And that is an attack, whether it's cigarettes, computers, pornography, whatever it is, and calling and being called forth as a feminine and a feminine body to say no more on that, and to just hold that like a person in the circle to be putting up. And I'm bringing forth a program around it, but poetic, yesterday a Pfizer plant got taken out by a tornado. It's sad because there's like real surgical medical stuff that's going to hurt people. You know, it's not just COVID-19 or whatever, but it was so symbolic when I saw it and with what I've had coming through this week. But it felt like it wanted to be spoken in this circle as one of these last systems of domination and control that still does have us and our children by the throat. So holding space for that, holding clearing for that, projects, action, speaking out, programs, whatever it is, that is the last stronghold that's really got us still in chains. And this, interesting, I pulled this one too.
That one. Oh, yep, swords. Yep.
Right? That's
Yeah.
the one you can get out by yourself if you're looking.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thank
But the
you.
wanted to be spoken into this circle for release.
Perfect. For me, learning and understanding is part of it. It's an important part, but it's not the most important part. Because it's like, then what do we do? Then what do we do? And what are you called to do? And how does this fit into you, into what you want? For me, knowing that there is a landscape called the culture of domination. That's what we've been living in. It's a survival, it's a limit, it's a controlling, it's greed oriented, and it's getting worse and worse and worse on all those things. And it's coming from dominators' agendas, which have been with us almost from the beginning of our time on the planet and before the planet was even. We've been living on this platform of domination, and we've been trying to do our work, build our dreams, fight the enemy in their and by their rules, and it doesn't work. It's like trying to extradite yourself from the matrix when you can't even get your foot up out of the mud. And so the big reason that I'm really focusing on waking women up is to say there is a platform, I call it the galactic landscape. There is a platform that is which is a true platform. It's based on who we are as star beings, what we intended, how we got stuck, how we're freed, our whole thing is to get back to who we are. We can't do that if we try to live by and within the domination cultures. They show us the outsiders. That was their purpose. But now you have that Sophia authority that when you see it, which you've seen them before, this is not new. You are aware, you are awake, all of you. But with that Sophia power, you have an additional authority voice to build. You know, it's not as strong today as it's going to be 2 weeks from now. And a year from now, it will get stronger. You can call in that team more and more. You can connect to your divine family members more and more. You have new things that you can now play with, that you can say when there's something in your world that you know that is weird. It might be in the news, it might be in your own life, it might be in your family, it might be in your body. Something feels off. First line of defense, I say, especially if it's in my body, because sometimes I have emotions, but that's not so much, memories aren't so much for me anymore. The first thing I do is, are you to the field of energy? Are you of my light? Because sometimes there's a pain there, a memory there that is of my light, that I did create, that I do need to take charge of and work with. So we'll have to know, are you of my light? No. PTO. Step into my Sophia, sword in the grounds, sword in the sky, I mean, staff in the ground. PTO, deep sixth energy fields. Turn it over to them, but now you have the power and the authority and the declaration to be heard. You have that now. Any individual, how can you begin to use this energy? Well, first of all, do it that way for sure. News, hey, the more you see, the more you call out. The bigger it gets, you're holding that staff and you don't let it go. You know what I mean? But also we have, you pointed out something, one, and we do have a group that meets every Wednesday. We call ourselves the Freedom and Truth Writers, RIGHTERS. And we meet for 30 minutes with laser focus. And here is some of those that we have on our agenda. I put yours on there too, by the way. Addictions such as fentanyl, domestic abuse, the disruption of our currency systems, the war in Ukraine, weaponized anger, the addiction to anger, the escalation of lies through propaganda, intentional mind control, mass shootings, global food supply. You see, we are going after those big things, and we are going after them using the laws, the principles, and the authority. So we have that group in place for anybody who wants to join us. We have that in place. If for those who want to know how these principles are now impacting healing work, like if you are working with individuals and you feel like you want to go deeper, have deeper, I'm going to start things in the fall. I'm not, not until October, but there you can go deeper with everything, and there's deeper ways you could use this work. So, but how can you use the galactic information in your work of not only healing what's going on for you and taking it deeper, but maybe if you're a healer for other people, you could do that too. Also, I'm going to start next fall. I'm going to start a year-long course that's very much like the Freedom and Truth Writer group, except, I'm going to have about 20 women who probably most of them don't know much about this stuff, and we're going to learn the principles and apply the principles, and be that focus out in the world to absolutely move the mountains, as we also look for those projects, those new things, those new dreams that need to be energized, because we need to energize the new. And then there are some who've been coming into these meetings, and they have a dream. They want to build something in their life. Okay, how can I help them build on a galactic platform rather than on anti-culture platform? But they want to build the new. So what do they need to know to do that? However we use what we learn as we go along, there's a reason for it. And we use that until we're ready for more of something, and we keep learning more. And what I love about being in communities of women, because it's our work. This is our work. guy is suffering because we were cut out. Men are suffering because we were cut out. So this is women's work. But what I love about these circles, and I think you've experienced it in yours, you know, you like we did just now one. I say this and you go like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then you expand on it. And Deborah said something, and then Arlie goes, yeah, and blah, 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 blah. And we expand each other. And now we come away more broadly enriched and more have a greater capacity. So, you know, these three events are to begin to be aware of the galactic, wake up to a more different view, different problems, how we can handle that, so that your life can expand, because we need more and more of our females expanded. So reclaiming the mountains, it's, have you heard of the old Chinese saying, when sleeping women wake, mountains will move? And as I looked at the prophecy of the Indians, of the indigenous people, and some of the things I was given, I realized it's the white women who have been asleep, intentionally so, for a specific thing. We've forgotten why, but we are the ones asleep. Not so much our other sisters of other ethnicities. They've been doing what they were assigned to do, but they weren't assigned to go to sleep. So we need to wake up and dissolve the mountains that are crushing us. So it's reclaiming our right, our authority, our responsibility, our connectiveness with earth and each other, so that we can dissolve the mountains created by outsider domination, greed, etc. So that's it. That's what we're up to. So what is it you would want to share? And then we'll go around before we close the circle, but I know you asked to kind of have a little time.
I feel like I couldn't stop. It was just streaming. So I streamed it right before the break, and it was primarily around tomorrow, the Feast of the Magdalene, being an important energetic day, and no accident that is your final day of the 3-9 is completion. That's just coming right now, of the women of the mycelium network, with the mycelium network, and bringing in intention that whatever all of these items are for clearing, for reconnection, disconnection, whatever that is a potent time. And the Magdalene and the Sophia is just like, so it just feels so, I keep saying potent, that's the word that keeps coming, so thick. Like, it's like the energy is thick with it. You have built up a field, the field is building, it is ready. Saturday is a very important day alchemically in the 7 days of creation, the sevens. Again, when I first started having my big Kundalini awakening, I mean, I've been on the seeking path for decades, but like after 2012, when it was like, oh my gosh, I'm downloading hard drives of information, that was one of the first things that came in. I was shown and told about the 7 mountains, reclaiming the 7 mountains. And so I just like, okay, I looked it up, and it's like a thing. And there are Christian groups that talk about the 7 mountains, but that I was shown and have done work. Family, religion, education, media, entertainment, business, and government have been co-opted. And
Oh yeah.
right. So we're
Oh yeah.
claiming control and ownership of those for humanity, by humanity. But so just Magdalene, honoring her and that whole energetic tomorrow, maybe in some way, final prayer, I don't know, but it's being called, for me anyway, for us, to take advantage of this energy collectively, and what you've specifically been called to do, to just tie it all together. And, you know, prayers, visualization, whatever. And from Saturday to Sunday into a new cycle. Saturday, is lead. Sunday is gold. Alchemy, we're turning lead into gold. So like, let it go, claim it, bring it in, whatever. But I'm feeling that very strongly. That came through very clear with the Magdalene
Yeah.
beast. Have
Magdalene has been showing up quite powerfully for the last maybe 6 months. And when you consider that our heart, our love center was disconnected. I mean, we were plugged into a false heart center, I should say. The female was unplugged from her ability to discern and choose, and eliminate anything that was not whole or of love. So the discernment to eliminate evil was taken away, and she was plugged into an artificial serving, nurturing. She is not the nurturer. Men's the nurturer. Women are the leaders. We are the creator, the leaders. We create policy, we create environment, we design what's going to be best for the whole. And so when you understand that the heart, it now with Sophia in place, and this is all, I mean, this is a recent, very recent, over the last maybe 5 years, but it grows. But with Sophia becoming more and more and more in her place of discern, power, and guard, allows that heart center, Magdalene or Grace, to be active in ways she has never been able to be active before. Gaia, Sophia, Grace, triad of the divine feminine. And I realized maybe 10 years ago that Gaia was not, although we identify her as female, she was not part of the female mission. She was not given a voice of authority. That was our job. Souls in female bodies, we're going to have stewardship and care for Gaia. But we brought her into Earth Mission. She is now part of that. She has voice authority. We can partner with her in new ways. The grandmother tree, I have a grandmother tree and a grandfather tree. On my property, that grandmother tree has really been saying, I'm telling, if you find where your grandmother tree is and talk to her and what does she need from you? So we are in a really amazing time and place, and it's been great to spend time with you. So Arlie, Deb, anything you two would like to say? Mother Tree, the book, Finding the Mother Tree.
Yeah, it's all about that and how the mother tree, they would take the clear cut out, but if they left the mother tree, all of her mycelium, all of her wisdom, all of her information would then grow. Even like they're showing me as I take hikes in the woods here, there are huge redwoods that have burned. And when they burned and they're hollowed out, there's a circle around them of the new trees, even if they're big. But they keep showing me mom, kids, and she's still feeding them after she's gone, right? She's still teaching them. Something coming in about Bohemian Grove. I don't know if you want it on the recording or not, but I wanted to speak about it.
I think it'd be fine on the recording. I can cut it off if need be.
Okay, it's not anything like horrific, but it came in when I first was coming in, and the Magdalene was showing up, and Cheryl was seeing a huge tree bound, like trapped, and that's where she was getting like misuse of spiritual practice and power, right? So Bohemian Grove is right down the road, and this, as we know, and what was coming in, I wanted to speak, it was right at the end. They were showing me what they do there, right? They've got a giant owl, a huge stump, like a cut redwood, giant. I've seen pictures of it from the 40s. It is all men.
Mm,
No women allowed at the Bohemian Grove gathering. And part of it, it is the elite of the elite, the power brokers, the political from both sides of the fence. It starts in San Francisco. The club is there, Bohemian Grove Club, and they hold an annual retreat. At that annual retreat, there are prostitutes that are brought in. The boys drink. They are not supposed to network. Interesting, just like your gathering. They do the same things about getting back to nature, blah, blah, blah. A lot of them say, oh, it's misunderstood, yada, yada. Guys came in there and there's a documentary you can look up about it. You can kind of look at it whatever ways, but it is very powerful. And it is the antithesis, right, of what the women are doing and what's being called for. That's what I was being shown of like, we do this with the woods, with the women who are the ones who own this authority, that have this authority that was taken from them. And they are using that sort of feminine authority in that place with all men to make decisions and make policy decisions, organizing countries' decisions, all of this to bond. And they literally do a fire ceremony with sending a dead corpse down the river, of like letting things go and all of this stuff. It's a big part of the thing. But they were just showing me like, okay, this is it. And this I felt like Magdalene was coming through with about like reclaim, take that back in essentially some of the similar place, the women doing that and reclaiming that authority and how powerful that is. So that might have been what was Cheryl was kind of seeing, was the tree bound with misuse of spiritual power.
Yep, on the list. Arlie, anything you wanted to say, Arlie, before we close?
Nope, I'm good. I'm just absorbing.
Okay, good enough. Okay, so we're going to sit here in our circle closure with our Sophia circle around us. We do not walk alone. We keep learning and adding to those collectives of our divine family and plan from worlds beyond this world. In this moment of time, we are going to place in the center of our circle the Bohemian Grove. And we encircle it with the power of the Sophia sisters. And we call in the elements from Gaia, the power of water, of air, of earth. Forgot the other one. She knows it. And we stand with them to encircle this grove in that field of our ownership. This is Gaia's home. This is Gaia's home. And in our imagination, we put our staff in the ground and we circle that grove and we staff in the ground with myriad of sisters. This is ours. We stand with Gaia. This is hers. Soared into the sky, going clear up into Laniakea. That connection into that greater authority for all of the galactics. And we say, there is evil here. Contain it, identify, neutralize, unplug it from our energy. It has no place here. unplug it from this field. It has no right to be here. And retract all of those extensions that it has made into the world, all the networks it has made into the world, into one great ball of energy that is neutralized, contained, and taken back to its place of origination to be immediately processed into extinction dust of light, extinction dust of light. And we move the consciousness of that grove into that reality of divine field. All networks into the field of divine good. Secured within the Sophia, secured within the sixfold cocoon. Calling in all the powers of our divine families to make it so. Anchor our decree into the first dimensional region, activating it and anchor it in the fifth dimension of Earth, where the power for our manifestations lie as a hard drive. And activate our declaration. We give thanks for all who work with us, for the powers that they are, for the outcome we hold. Divine good, benefit in magnificent creations. And so it is. Want to top that off, you can put yourself into a cook's hookup. We do this a lot. And hands like this, up under the chin. This will put it in your brain. Cross your ankles. Put your tongue at the roof of your mouth. I am. That's enough. I am. Just roll your eyes clockwise 12 times, counterclockwise 12 times. So the brain can begin to create the pathways for this truth for you. I am. Thank you, blessed ones. What a joy to be with you. And we'll meet tomorrow night. Think about just notice what bubbles for you. Because, where is that you're going to be drawn? And you all may already know, and there might be something new. And we're going to kind of work with what's going to emerge. So blessings. Until we meet. Much love. Yes. Bye-bye.
Love you, Sharon. Thank you as always.
Thank you. Love you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bless you.